welcome to the second episode of the Game Link podcast. I am Lou Tyrannus here with my friend. What's your name?
What?
Friend.
Oh, sorry. Scrimmy. I'm Scrimmy. I thought you were going to say it again because you said it the first time.
I know. I like to switch things up, you know?
Oh.
It'd be way too boring if this podcast was, like, consistent or enjoyable to listen to.
Or if we planned
sometimes
anything.
I think... Yeah, we're really, like, trying to hit the untapped market of bad podcasts.
I mean...
I feel like everyone tries to make good podcasts nowadays.
Yeah, the untapped pocket... The untapped market of bad podcasts, which is most of them.
Anyways, so this is being recorded the day before the very final Smash character reveal, so we'll talk a little bit about who we think is going to get that, and then it'll be hilarious because we can be proven incredibly wrong considering
just
that.
So wrong.
So once once Dylan is listening to this, knowing that Bandana Waddle Dee didn't get into it,
he's gonna have to eat his shoe again.
Right.
The final
we'll
shoe.
have to do it while listening to us.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that shit. I'm gonna be honest, like, in terms of Smash, every character I think of, I don't actually think they're going to get in. I just think it's either what's expected or would be very funny.
Yeah. Anyways, what games have you been playing recently, Scrimmy? Either on stream or in your own time.
I thought we were gonna talk about Smash, just like in general.
Oh, we'll talk about Smash later. I was just kind of talking about like, kind of stuff we're gonna talk about.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Well, I did play Deltarune, but I think the more embarrassing one is that I've been playing an obscene amount of Age of Calamity again. It's not a good game. I've come to terms with that. Like, it's not.
What do you mean?
It's not terrible. It's just like, I just want to say, like, it's a Warriors game. It has a lot of, like, running problems, and the camera likes to get stuck on things a lot and, like, mess up the animations really badly. And it's also, like, because I downloaded the DLC, which I meant to do literally months ago, but because I was the only person excited about that damn DLC. But I got around to playing it, and it's literally just, like, a series of randomized missions that you play over and over again to unlock just, like, little achievements, basically. They don't really do anything. And yet, I'm still doing it, even though I don't usually achievement hunt. Because this game gives me brain diseases for some reason.
It is like a very, very good completion game. Like, just the way that entire game is formatted makes it, like, if you think about it, the entirety of that game is just one big list of things for you to do, so.
It is really weird. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I'll say, like, with the DLC, the only reason I feel like I wasn't excited for it is because they did a horrible job of making clear what it's even about. Like, I had no idea what could be covered in that DLC, and honestly...
I can tell you.
Well, brief spoilers, so if you want to play it and haven't yet, skip ahead, like, 20 seconds. But it, like, not being a canon sequel kind of made me not... Or prequel made me not really care that much about the story anymore. So it's like, it was fun, and I liked it, and it wasn't a bad game, but, you know, I don't think it was... I liked it enough to spend more money on it, if that makes sense.
I understand that. I kind of liked it more, because that was, like, the one reason I heard from, like, everyone that, like, they didn't like the plot because it was so goofy and fanfiction-esque, and I was like, I love that, personally. I like it when series stop taking themselves seriously and just do the weird thing for once.
I didn't have a problem that it was, like...
No, I understand why
it was like that, but I just wish that it had been a bit more clear, because just the way they marketed it just made it seem...
Yeah, but, like, they couldn't market it the other way, because that's, like, the plot twist they have.
Right.
Like, the one plot twist. It is funny watching people play Age of Calamity, though, and then they, like, get to chapter, like, 4 or 5 or whatever, when, like, the calamity starts, and they're like, wait a minute, is the game just going to end now? Because the world is ending?
And, we'll put, why don't we put,
Age of Calamity spoilers?
timestamp? Yeah, we'll put, like, a timestamp on the screen of when you can skip to.
Yeah,
because I said 20 seconds, and then it's, like, probably like a minute later. You're good.
It's fine. I will say
talking about things is our job.
The DLC doesn't really have a plot attached. Basically all it is it's just like the Robbie and Pyrrha Research Center. So they give you the Master Cycle, and they give you like the weird nunchuck things that are like the Guardian arm weapon, because they showed that in one of the trailers.
Oh, right.
And they introduced like a couple new like enemy types, which are basically the same. And it's basically just like they give you like a few more tasks to do, and they unlock a few more just like regular fighting levels. But that's kind of it. I actually thought that would be the one where they unlock the characters, but I was wrong. But they do basically spoil what characters they're unlocking in the second DLC, even though they haven't like. I guess they have fully said it now, but it's like when you're playing the first DLC, you see missions where you're leading other party members around, and you lead around Robbie and Pyrrha, who now have full body models and can run and attack things, so you're like, okay, you two are playable. And then there's another level where it's, again, Aster's running around, and he has, like, different fighting moves, like, you can control him one day, and Suga's running around, so it's, like, great. I mean, you were the only 4 characters that could be playable, because you were the only 4 in the plot that weren't already playable, but cool. Everyone already leaked it, so, whatever. It's fine.
Anything else? Did you finish DGS? Is that what they call it?
Oh, yeah.
What does DGS even stand for? That's like the game that I see you talk about all the time.
I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. Dai Gataken Saiban, I think. Just because it was the Japanese game. It's called the Great Ace Attorney Collection in English.
It is, okay. That's what I thought that was an abbreviation for, but
yeah, I wasn't sure. I can't speak. But I have not finished it yet. Yesterday, as of recording this, me and Bronson are like almost finished with the 4th case of the second game, so we're almost done. But we're getting there. It's very fun.
Is the Switch version, besides being localized, is it that much different from the 3DS version?
Not really. I mean, I never played it on 3DS. When I played the first game, like back before it was translated, like fan translated, I played it like the iOS version because that's easier to emulate. Even though it's not even technically emulation, what they tell you to do through, like, the Scarlet Study website is to get, like, an iOS emulator, but, like, actually go to the Japanese Play Store and actually pay for it instead of, like, pirating it. So I do own it, legally. It's not illegal. But, like, the only things that are different are some of the names, again, like, just some basic translation stuff. All the gameplay mechanics are identical. At least in the first game, they were just, like, basically the same. Although some of the names do... Like, the puns are weirder to understand now, or they're, like, more on the nose. Which I guess that's how it goes in translations.
I remember one of my favorite Pokemon episodes. I don't remember the specifics of the joke, but there's some pun where, like, Caterpie, the Pokemon, sounds similar to the Japanese word for cow. And because Misty was scared of bug-type Pokemon, she's, like, scared of a Caterpie, and then Aster's just like, I think you mean Cowderpie, and then he just comes out in a cow costume, and, like, it makes literally no sense, and it's just so fucking funny to me how, like, because even as a kid I was like, wow, that joke's hilarious, even though, like, the entirety of that pun makes no sense in English, so they just had to say Cowderpie.
I love that. I think a lot of the translation stuff, especially for The Greatest Attorney, like, are still intact because it's a game that takes place a lot in Japanese culture, so when they bring up, like, the stuff that's very Japanese, they don't explain it. It's just, like, they just have it there, and go Google it or some shit if you can't figure it out.
Like, the localization for for Persona 1 for the PlayStation is infamous because, since it didn't have, like, any prestige in the West like it does now, they tried to super Americanize it, sort of like how they did with Ace Attorney, and it's so funny. Like, they changed the characters entirely. They all have different names. They made the protagonist a redhead for some reason, but it's so obviously like a recolor of someone who's supposed to have black hair.
That's really funny.
Like, it's, I've never played it fully, but it's, and then they remastered it for the PSP. However, and the PSP version has a much better localization, but because the PSP version came out after Persona 3, which was the one that completely changed the series to, like, the social simulator kind of thing it is now, and like, has a lot more upbeat, like, themes, like, since Persona 3 and stuff like that, that completely changed all the music in the PSP remake to be, like, more in line with, you know, what you think of when you think of Persona music, like, with vocals and stuff like that. And it's not, none of it's bad music. Like, actually, I listen to a lot of it all the time. Like, School Days, the theme for when you're exploring the school, I listen to in my free time all the time because it's a good song. But it does not fit that game at all. It's so funny. Like, it's... So you either, if you want to play that game with an official English translation, you either have to choose a version with really weird characters, and like they changed the yen to dollars, and just a lot of different things to Americanize it, or you have to play a version that has a better localization but has very annoying looping music that never stops. Does not fit the tone at all.
Great, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's great. It's like a meme in a lot of those communities. Anyways, anything else that you're playing before I rudely interrupt you and start talking about my games?
I was trying to think. I completely forgot that, like, in the span of the last podcast episode going up, Deltarune was just announced, like, within a day.
Oh, yeah.
And I also streamed that. That's really good. I can't remember if you said you were going to play that one day or don't want to.
I don't
if you
know.
mind me talking about it.
I mean, yeah, feel free to talk about it, because by the time, if I do play it, it probably won't be for, like, at the very minimum a month, and I'll have forgotten all of this. Because I own Deltarune, like, I bought Deltarune Chapter 1 when I didn't have games I was playing for a while, and I started it, but I just didn't really get into it, and then I think I got Catherine instead. And because I own that, I now technically own Chapter 2 as well, because I think they said that they're just going to update the original one.
I
so
think
if you
the first one was.
You now have Chapter 2.
I think the first one was just free. I think both of the parts have been free so far.
Maybe it was. No, I think it was. I don't remember. I feel like I remember spending money. I think that's the reason why it's just a free update, because you can't just put something on the Switch store. Because I got on the Switch. I should say that.
Oh.
Because I don't think you can't just put something on the Switch store for free, can you?
I think
this
so.
This is like a demo?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think it's meant to be a demo, that's why. Because there's going to be, like, 7 chapters, and I think the point was that, like, he releases the first, like, 2 or 3, and then, like, the rest of them come out at, like, the same time for a price or something like that. I know he did reveal at some point, like, why it's free, and, like, when are we going to spend money on this? You can't just make a free game, Toby.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it's, I don't know, and if I do, though, it'll be long enough from now that, you know. I feel like my thing is that I might play it once once Deltarune is finished. Is probably a better way to put it.
It's probably going to take a little while, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a lot of games to play.
You know what, that's...
Barnyard for the PlayStation 2 can't wait for Deltarune.
Yeah. I mean, I could say stuff about it. I feel like everything that could be said about it has been, because these games get a lot of people talking about them. Yeah, like, immediately. I did feel this way, like, when the first part came out. I do like Deltarune more than Undertale, just, like, in terms of, like, actual gameplay-wise. Like, it seems tighter, of course, because Undertale was the first game Toby Fox had ever made. And he made it just, like, in Game Maker randomly. So, I like the mechanics more of, like, controlling, like, 3 characters at once. You're not really controlling 3 of them. You're basically doing the same thing as in Undertale, but, like, the layout's a bit different. And it just seems more proactive. And also funnier. Just because instead of, like, you being one character talking to a bunch of NPCs, you have a team talking to each other, which I've always just thought is a better dynamic anyway. And it's better for his writing, because he's a very funny man.
Oh, yes.
It's incredible. But
Deltarune is one of those games that I kind of enjoy passively observing people be excited about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can't go anywhere on the internet without being, like, inundated with Deltarune everywhere. And it's a little annoying, but it's like, more than annoying, it's more just like, man, it's just nice to see people enjoy things.
They're just having fun. Yeah, I do like all the funny fan art that people do.
It's
all the stupid memes. Yeah, I guess I still like the first chapter more than the second, just for reasons, I don't know. The first one felt more complete, because it was more like, here's all the characters you have, here's, like, the arc that, like, these main ones are going through, and then chapter 2 is just like, here are these other NPCs, and now they're having an arc. I also didn't like the shit with the Snowgrave route, which is probably the least popular opinion of all time, because people love creepypasta stuff in, like, Undertale and Deltarune, but I'm getting...
Undertale.exe.
Yeah, I'm getting personally kind of sick of it, because I think my least favorite part of Deltarune is how much it, like, cribs from Undertale, in that the town is, like, all of the same characters, and there's a lot of just, like, shit with, like, determination and soul or whatever, and a lot of people just see Chris as, like, Kara again, and they have all these theories about, like, why it's just Undertale, and I'm like, yeah, I guess so, but why can't this just be its own thing? So every time they do that shit at the end of chapters where Chris is, like, funky red eyes, he's got a knife. I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. I don't
He's
care
like,
about the creepy stuff or like the fact you can kill Birdley is kind of fucked up, and like the way you do it is cool and the boss fight is cool, but just like the fact that it's spooky and murder, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Yeah, isn't Deltarune like in an alternate universe Undertale? Like it's the same universe but an alternate timeline or something like that?
Kind of. That's one of the theories that people go with, just because all the characters that return from Undertale have basically their same personalities but don't know each other. So, I feel like that's where they're going, but a lot of people bring like Gaster into it, like, because Gaster was a thing in Undertale that was secret and everyone wants to see him again.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because when the game starts, there's like a weird introduction where you quote-unquote make your character, and the game's like, your decisions don't matter. Everyone thinks that, like, for some reason, because of that, Gaster's like the one controlling all of Deltarune, and I'm like, okay, I guess it would be cool, I don't really care. I don't know. I like
Deltarune fans BTFO.
I like theory stuff, but not when it's just... Because a lot of the Undertale theory shit was stupid as fuck. For
yeah,
years.
I think the Zelda fandom has a similar issue of where I personally find Zelda theories to be like really interesting, and like just I find the lore to be really fun, in particular because it's so vague intentionally to let fans sort of figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
However, because fans can just figure it out, there's such like an array of quote unquote fan theories that are like make no sense, that are kind of dumb, that are clearly just people trying to like grab some sort of nostalgia, like, oh, did you know that this is not a real theory, I'm making this up, but like, did you know that Cass is actually King Zora from Ocarina of Time? It's like some of it is cool and it does have actual evidence, such as the hero shade from Twilight's Princess being the hero of Time's soul, but like there's other things that I don't know, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but so much, I think part of the reason why people see Zelda lore, the Zelda timeline, or whatever you want to call it, as so convoluted isn't necessarily because it actually is convoluted, it's because if it's something you're vaguely interested in, it's very difficult if you have no prior knowledge to like sift through the giant bucket full of like fan theories and decide like, oh, what's real and what's not. And there's so many Zelda games and so many people who've only played like, I've just played the 3D games, or I've just played like these 3 games, and so you're kind of relying on what like Zelda YouTubers tell you is true about like about the games you haven't played, so you don't know. Like there's a theory that the Forgotten Temple in Breath of the Wild is the same as the Sealed Temple, or the Temple of Hylia in Skyward Sword, which it does have a very similar layout to it. However, like the location makes literally no sense, because it would have to be directly underground the Great Plateau. So it's like, that's an interesting theory, and it's, you know, something it's worth talking about, but there's so many people who have just accepted that as canon, when it's like,
yeah, I think that's always
like
the problem. People like
canon.
Just like decide that's what's fact about
Right,
this thing,
yeah,
even
right.
though it was supposed to just be people having fun. Like, if it's just people having fun, I don't care, and I like listening to it, but it just makes the conversation annoying when people are like, oh god,
Right.
look at this funny game, it's happy thing with scary undertones again. I'm like, okay, but like, do we really still care about that? It's not a good twist anymore. It stopped being a good twist after like the first 400 times it happened in a piece of media.
Yeah.
Actually, I think about it a lot, like, what Undertale... I feel like this would be a good discussion for another episode, like, what Undertale did to indie games, and how, as soon as Undertale dropped, every indie game had some weird theme of, like, meta fourth wall breaking, or trying to subvert the genre, or trying to make it so, like, do you, the player, feel bad for these characters whose lives you're affecting? Like, there's so many games now with that as its plot, just because Toby Fox, like, dipped his toes into it once, and people were like, oh my god...
I will say I don't necessarily think that was, like, not a thing before
No,
Undertale,
definitely
but
not.
I do
He didn't
agree
invent it,
Undertale,
but yes.
Yeah, Undertale definitely brought it to the mainstream. I think it's funny because Undertale's talking system, like, you know, the thing that people find so unique about it, like, oh, you don't have to kill anyone, was directly like inspired, like at least that part was inspired a lot by SMT. And then I've been playing so many SMT games recently, and the talking system in those games is so different. Because in Undertale, it's like, oh, you can finally be a pacifist. You don't have to be a genocidal maniac like all video game characters are. But then, like, in SMT, you're like, excuse me while I talk to this demon who's going to just fucking steal all of my money and then peace out. Like, they'll be like, oh, you want me to join you? Okay, that's fine. Just give me 300 maca, which is currency. And then I'll be like, oh, that's a lot, but all right. Then it'll be like, give me a bead, which is a really rare item. I'm like, okay. And then he'll be like, give me 7 revival beads, which is even rarer. And then I'll be like, well, I've already this far in. This is sunken cost fallacy. So then I'll give the demon like 7 revival beads, and then it'll be like, actually, I forgot I have to go run errands, and then it will leave. God fucking damn it.
That's
like,
really
how did this inspire, like, I have no clue how this inspired Undertale. Imagine if fucking Toriel just stole all your money and then left.
I can kind of see it just because Undertale is obviously very inspired by Earthbound, which has that, like, comedic system of, like,
right,
all the weapons and shit you have are just, like, random items, and all the enemies are really goofy and stuff. So, like, meshing that with that system of, like, you can just talk to people and sometimes they're cool and sometimes they're not. I can see it. Right. Though it does make me wish that there were people in Undertale who would just, like, totally take advantage of your kindness and run away.
Oh, yeah. It's a trip. But speaking of SMT, I finished Nocturne, and it stayed exactly on my list where I left it at number 5.
Woo.
Making it currently my favorite RPG of all time. I'll give my thoughts on it, like, briefly, spoiler free. At least, like, on the parts that I hadn't played when I talked about it last episode. The ending, I won't say any of the events that happened, but it was pretty decent. I wish it showed a little bit more what happens, like, after the story, but it wasn't bad at all. I looked up all, like, the different endings, and I got a PS2. I don't remember if I had it by the last episode, but I got a PS2, and it's actually currently the PS2 version is being shipped to me, and my plan is to try and 100% that game, and I'm gonna try to get every ending on normal, and then for the final ending, which I'm not saying the names of the endings, for the final ending, I will try it on hard, which will be a trip, and I will finish it there. But yeah, I have been playing recently, actually, on the PS2, Digital Devil Saga, which is a different Megami Tensei spin-off.
I've never actually heard of that one. I saw it on that list you sent me. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen this.
Yeah, it's super interesting. It's very inspired by Eastern religion. In terms of it's like the basic story premise of it is that there's these 12 tribes in this place called the Junkyard, and they're all fighting over this tower directly in the center called Nirvana. And whoever can control the entirety of the Junkyard has to ascend the Tower of Nirvana. However, nobody knows what's in Nirvana, and they've all just been told that they have to get there. And then, because it's an SMT game, or a Megaten game, at some point, everyone gets the ability to turn into demons, and they have the insatiable desire to, like, eat other demons, basically. And I find its story, so far at least, to be one of the most engaging and interesting stories I've ever seen. Because, like, watching these characters, like, try to cope with the fact that they now essentially have to be cannibals, because if you don't eat other humans, you will eventually not be able to control, like, your demonic power, and you'll just turn into the demon permanently. You won't really be human anymore.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's
also, like, horrifying.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying, but it doesn't present itself as a horror game. One of the things I like a lot about Megaten games so far is that they never feel like they're trying to shock you. Like, a lot of, like, the premises when you describe them seem like, oh wow, that seems very generic, like, oh, there's going to be a lot of blood, and, like, there's going to be a lot of things that will, it's like, oh, it's trying to be disturbing for disturbing's sake, but they're really good at like holding back. Like there's really only a few things that happened in Nocturne that I would say genuinely were like, man, that was kind of spooky. And it made them yeah, it made them way more impactful. Like there's, it's not like generic like, oh, I walked in this building and there's blood everywhere because it's spooky demon game. Same with like Digital Devil Saga has some of the most chill like atmosphere in any video game I've played in a while, which doesn't sound like it'd be a chill game at all. But I really like that. I'm about 12 hours into it. That was a PS2 game as well. And then briefly, I recently started SMT4. I have no clue if I will be able to or try to finish that before SMT5 comes out. But so far, I'm going to be honest, and as far as I'm aware, most people... actually, I don't know, but I so far like it significantly less than I did Nocturne. At the very least, it has a much worse beginning. Like, I think I mentioned that Nocturne was very good at not having JRPG spend 12 hours of dialogue, tutorials, doing things. It's very like, okay, you're playing the game now, you can figure it out, it's pretty self-explanatory, we'll give you little hints so you can learn what you're doing. And then like SMT4 has been like I've played like 6 hours of it so far, and I still don't feel like the game has really started.
No, that's I hate that.
Yeah, and
some people give you shit like if you stop like at the 10-hour mark, and they're like, you didn't play enough. It's like, it's 10 hours.
Yeah,
nothing happened.
Like I know I like the series enough to where I probably will, keep playing it and finish it, even if it does get incredibly boring. Because I feel like there gets to a point where, oh, I now like this series as a whole, so I know, like, I'm a fan of this, so I'm okay with playing some of the games in it that might not be that good. But if this was my first SMT game, like, if I hadn't played Persona 5 or Nocturne before this, or the little bits of DDS, Digital Devil Saga, that I have played, I would probably have stopped entirely already. Like, if I was just at a GameStop, and I was like, oh, this looks cool, and then I got it, I would have been bored and stopped playing. But people say it's really good. It's the highest selling SMT game as of right now. I guess actually
like
Nocturne with the
much.
HD remaster, yeah. Nocturne with the HD remasters probably technically sold more if you count its original sales plus the remaster sales, but that's kind of cheating. But yeah, I'm also replaying Barnyard for the PS2, which is a masterpiece of a licensed game and the blueprint of what licensed games should be like. And I very recently started replaying Fur Fighters, which was this really weird Dreamcast game I had as a kid that they re-released for the PS2, with like voice acting and stuff like that. And holy shit, does that game control so weird. You use the left stick to like aim, and then you use the buttons like X, circle, triangle, square to move.
Oh.
And then you use like the right stick, or I don't even, it's so weird.
I hate it.
Because it was a Dreamcast game which only had one analog stick, but you think when they were re-releasing it they would completely rework the game to control on a modern controller like modern games did.
Yeah, like how games work.
Or yeah. But
so
they
people
didn't.
Buy them.
All they did was add worse voice acting, and then they gave it a cel-shaded art style, which isn't bad. But considering the entire game was designed around a different art style, you can't just add cel shading and then, not really do much else. It just kind of looks weird. I don't know. It's yeah. Those are the 4 games I've been playing. But
Goddamn
DDS, DDS and SMT4 are the 2 that I'm like actually playing. For me, it's like, I play Digital Devil Saga, and then whenever like my roommate is using the TV, or I just don't feel like playing, like on an actual console, I'll just chill in my bed and play on my 3DS.
I was gonna add this when you were talking about the Digital Devil Saga, I think you called it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Which I didn't want to interrupt you. I do think games that because a lot of horror relies way too heavily on either jump scares or like blood or visual horror. I think horror works better, even if it doesn't mean to be horror, if it's just like emotional, I guess. I don't know how many people would agree with that.
No,
but
I
just,
know
like,
exactly what you mean.
just like atmospheric, like a depressing premise or like a weird soundtrack or like odd theming, because that does sound genuinely freaky. But like when you described the premise to me, my brain didn't even jump to like, oh, it would be bloody. My brain jumped to like, it sounds like a drama.
Right.
Like high melodrama.
Like,
well, not even melodrama, but like a lot of like conversing. Yeah.
Like it feels like a very dramatic and intense story.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of a debate. It's not a very common debate. Like it's not overplayed, but I've had a lot of conversations with people over whether or not Megami Tensei could be considered a horror franchise. Which started when I watched someone review the first Shin Megami Tensei for the Super Famicom, and he described it as like, oh, this was a horror game, and I was like, I've never thought of them as horror games, and I think it's very interesting because they very much kind of draw the line in covering those themes of like the occult and like Satanism and whatever. A lot of like religion or the end of the world or whatever, they all cover different
themes, I don't think those are like inherently scary themes. They're like Splatoon is about the end of the world.
Yeah, but they're all like, and they're handled with like a tact, I think, in SMT that you don't see from most games. I feel like most apocalyptic games, like I really like The Last of Us, but The Last of Us 2 leans so heavily into like, oh, look at this, you just killed that character and now you're cutting their head off and then eating their bones and look at all the blood, so spooky, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, we want to tell a narrative about something that we see as mature, so we just need to throw blood and gore into it, and like, oh, now here's the sex scene because it's an adult game with sex in it.
Stuff like that definitely shoots the moon from like adult back into like, this is very childish. It's like how I feel about most adult media, where like their only crutch of being adult media is like they talk about sex or they swear a lot or there's a lot of blood. I'm like, only children are watching this now.
I think a lot of Western AAA games fall into that,
yeah.
And I think that's what I really liked about it, is that like there's not a single jump scare in any single SMT game as far as I'm aware, at least that I've played. But pretty much all of them, except for Persona games, really, you could make an argument that it's like horror in some aspect. But yeah, I suppose we should move on to discussing Smash, the elephant
Smash
in the
brother
room, shall we say. Yes.
I feel like it's not even an elephant anymore. Like, I guess it's because I don't follow a lot of, like, competitive Smash people, but I never hear anyone talk about Smash anymore, really. I mean, sometimes, but...
Yeah?
I sort of just forgot that they had a character they needed to reveal still, because I stopped caring, like, months ago. Especially because I think their new character pack is, like, really boring, but that's personal opinion.
It might just be who, like, I'm following, and also the fact that my roommate is super into fighting games.
Yeah, that might be part of it.
It's been kind of the opposite. Like, if I go on Twitter, it's pretty much all Smash. Everyone wants it to be Sora.
Oh, of course.
And, yeah, everyone wants it to be Sora, and there were some supposed leaks, which I won't talk about who was in the leak. All I'll say is my personal opinion on it is that I hope it's fake, because it's not really a character I'm interested in.
Wait, I want to hear the leak. I'm curious. Like, if it's I don't trust the leaks at all anymore because of how many are just, like, anyone can do it, and they're usually not real.
Yeah. Alright, well, here will be the timestamp again if you don't want to...
Oh boy.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear anything about this, you just want to go into it blind. But, supposedly it was Sora. I don't know anything about the leak. I don't know anything about, like, where it came from, who reported on it, how credible it is.
I don't know how realistic Sora in Smash is, especially just because he's, like, a Disney property.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
That's been my thing, is I'm always like, why would, like, they have to work with Disney?
And,
I don't know.
Why would you do this to yourself?
Yeah,
but also,
I'm not
for
the kind of
how popular
person...
Kingdom Hearts is, the Smash people, I don't know how happy they'd be about another sword fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the kind of person to complain about, like, oh, another anime sword fighter.
Oh, I don't care about that, yeah.
But I don't know. I wouldn't be upset if it was Sora. Like, you wouldn't see me.
Yeah, I have a friend who
it,
would really like that. So
but, yeah,
be
I'd
like,
be
"Good
happy
for
for
you."
people, but I just have zero interest in Kingdom Hearts. So
Mm.
I think about pretty much any of the characters that people suggest, and Sora's probably near the bottom.
Yeah, I don't know. Hi, editing Scrimmy here. Yes, I'm the one who edits all the audio for these, so if you have any complaints, please send them to hell. Anyway, obviously the announcement came before this episode was released, so we've all seen it. I just wanted to add that both me and Lucien were very charmed by the trailer and are now very happy that Sora's in it, so please don't come to our house and murder us in our sleep. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Bye, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye. I keep thinking this will not happen. Like, 100% won't happen. But just because of, like, how some of the characters they've introduced during this Smash have been, like, Ridley or, like, Banjo-Kazooie, like, K-Rool, like, things people have been wanting for, like, probably over 10 years. Like, they actually did it, and it, like, blew up the internet. I either want it to be someone, like, fucking Gino or something, like shoot the moon completely, even though, again, definitely will not happen just because of how Squeenix treats their IPs, or I want it to be a joke fighter.
I want Balan.
Yeah, Balan Wonderworld and Smash. I just think if you made the last one a stupid joke fighter that pissed everyone off, that'd be the funniest thing in the world.
It's like a 40-minute presentation, but I just like to imagine at the start they're like, the next Smash character will be Pepsi Man.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Wait,
and then
I love that.
It's just like, it's just the rest, the next 39 minutes is just, I don't know, some random Pepsi Man Let's Play they found when they searched Pepsi Man Let's Play and then went to the final page. Like,
it's Sakurai sitting in his desk chair looking dead on into the camera.
Yeah, he just stares at, and it's not even like a still image. Like, it's literally just him sitting there.
You can see him blinking.
Camera.
He's just not saying anything.
There's like one point where he coughs and everyone freaks out. But yeah, I have different picks. Like, I think Sakurai tweeted yesterday, don't quote me on that, actually saying something about how the character is someone that a lot of people might not know, but he was saying it in the way of like, this next character might be someone that you don't know or have never heard of, but this presentation will be like a celebration of gaming or something like that. Implying, I don't know, because I have like, I'm constantly torn in myself between wanting a character that I want and wanting a character that would be a good last character.
Oh yeah, mine was just like what would be a good last character. I mean, I think Gino would be cool. I don't super care about him. I mean, I like Mario RPG, but what the characters I want are not getting in. It won't happen.
Actually, I just realized we don't need to put a timestamp for the leak because this is coming out after the characters revealed.
It's fine.
Well then. Everyone listening to that point will be like, what? Like, how could I be spoiled for something that already happened? I think my characters, I'd say I have 3 characters that I would want for myself. Like, if you told me, like, I can pick the last character and it doesn't have to be a crowd pleaser, it's just a character I want, it would be either Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it would be either Phoenix Wright, who was my second character? I can't remember the second character, but I thought of a fourth one. The Demi-Fiend from Nocturne, that's like the name of the main character. The Nahobino from SMT5, which is honestly one of my predictions, considering he said it's a character a lot of people might not know, and considering SMT5 is coming out in November, and
that would
Joker
make sense.
Joker being in Smash was such like a big thing for Persona 5 that I could see Atlas trying to put in Nahobino. I mean, it would be another anime sword fighter, but
he would be big mad on Twitter, but it's fine.
Oh, absolutely. Which is why I'm like torn of, do I want that character or do I want the last character to be someone that is just a crowd pleaser like a Waluigi? Yeah, and who was my other character? Oh, the Monster Hunter, that's right.
Oh.
So yeah, I'd say either Phoenix Wright, Monster Hunter, or I think Demi-Fiend would be a better character because he's from Nocturne, which is like the most iconic SMT game. and also he doesn't use a sword, so he would have to play more uniquely. But Nahobino, I feel like, is infinitely more likely as a character, just because, like I said, he's in a game coming out soon. And yeah.
If I had to actually put the one I wanted in Smash, it would be Amaterasu from Okami, which, again, literally will never happen. Even if he's like, oh, this is a character that you probably don't know. It's like, no, I'm not even getting my hopes up on that one.
Yeah. I could see Amaterasu as a,
it's like an assist.
What I'm looking for. Yeah, as an assist trophy, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything Okami in Smash, which is understandable because they're older games by, like, a studio that doesn't really exist anymore. So, I mean, that's fine.
I mean, if Starfy can get in as an assist trophy,
you know what? This is true. This is true. I'm trying to think of, like, if there's anyone else. I said I wouldn't care about Gino. I kind of would like to see it just because I think he would play really neat. Like, the fact that he's got, like, gun fingers. And also, I would really like for them to remake Mario RPG. Like, genuinely. Please.
Like an actual remake, or just like a...
Well, I mean, like, either, like, put it on Switch, which won't happen because they put it on their, like, mini SNES recently. So that's definitely not going to happen. Because I also wanted, like, some of the, like, Final Fantasy VI to come on Switch, and again, they put it on their mini SNES, so that's not going on to, like, the Nintendo Online. But, like, I don't know, because there's a lot of people who want them to either, like, just put Mario RPG on the Switch, or, like, update the graphics a little bit, like how they remade some of the old Mario and Luigi games, and, like, re-released them. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one of the best RPGs, as said by, like, everyone, so it'd be nice. Won't happen, but whatever.
I've never gotten into that many Mario RPGs. Not because I dislike them, I just haven't.
Oh, they're a little weird, so yeah.
Yeah. I played Bowser's Inside Story, your favorite, when I was a kid. I never finished it. And I played Super Paper Mario, which is debatable whether or not that's
that one's my favorite out of the Mario,
really good.
The Paper Marios, which is a controversial opinion because people either love that one or they think it's like the worst one.
Right. It's like everyone agrees that whatever came after Super Mario Party is like infinitely worse.
Sticker Star,
but everything that came before it, everything that came before it is like amazing. But Super Paper Mario itself is like, it's like the emo phase, you know, of that series.
You gotta, man. Not to plan next episodes, like, in an episode, you gotta give me, like, one entire podcast where you just set me up on, like, a pedestal and just, like, start asking my Paper Mario opinions and watch me just piss everyone off at once.
We should do 2 episodes eventually, one for, like, each of us, where we basically just have to submit to the other person and just let them talk about whatever they want.
Some kind of argument.
Yeah, and like, we're not allowed to, like, talk back or share our own opinion. We just have to be like,
yeah.
I see.
Or just, like, ask follow-up questions, like, goad them on. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, it'd be like an interview. Actually, that would be a neat episode idea. Like, we interview each other
on something the other person either doesn't know about or doesn't care about.
Yeah, I have no clue how that would work, but
it'd be funny. It's fine.
Yeah, so speaking of directs or live streams or whatever you want to call them, there was a Nintendo Direct.
Oh boy!
Ago. Yes, and the news everyone cares about, the Mario movie.
Yeah, Chris Pratt is Mario, guys. Congratulations.
And honestly, for me, the most insane one is fucking Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, why? Is Donkey Kong gonna speak English? Like, why does he have a voice actor? Or are they gonna make Seth Rogen make monkey noises? I liked Kenan-Michael Key as Toad, because I was just sitting there like, are they gonna make him do the voice?
Oh my god, I just imagine Toad speaking with Key's voice, and it's so good.
Oh, it's
in my head.
So good. I saw a bunch of memes of Charlie Day as Luigi. And that one, the memes are funny because it fits really well, but I don't know anything that Charlie Day's been in because I don't really watch, like, Community or anything. But it seems
pretty much
funny.
All I know about him is that he's the guy in the meme where he's like has the cigarette in his hand and he's like pointing at the wall full of like, Post-it notes and shit.
Because someone redrew Luigi is that like talking about King Bruno.
Yeah.
It's great. Also, Jack Black as Bowser is like the one genuinely good decision they made. Good. Yeah. He deserves it. Please. He'll do a great job.
this movie's either going to be the worst or the best movie to ever exist.
No,
and I have no clue which one.
It's gonna be both. Because everyone was so genuinely mad when they started talking about, like, who's gonna play what person, and I keep seeing, like, genuine discussion and discourse about, like, how terrible it is to try to be a voice actor in, like, the American Hollywood market now when, like, all movies are voiced by big stars who don't know what it's like to voice act. And I'm like, guys, it's the Mario Illumination movie. Did you think they weren't going to do that? Like, it's... Yeah. Anything by Illumination is cheap garbage already. I have a lot of feelings on modern animation. Yeah. They make cheap garbage, they make it, like, common denominator, as low effort as possible, with, like, all the stars possible. So, like, it was, like, destiny that they were gonna get shitty voice actors, but... I'm just excited, because the last movie I saw before quarantine was the Sonic movie, and I hope the first one I get to see after is the Mario movie.
I haven't seen the Sonic movie yet. I wanted to see it, but,
it's not bad.
I think it was when I was coming home from my second semester of college. I don't know, time. I think I have a basic, like, sense of time.
Vaguely.
No.
I watched it with Dylan in theaters, like, the weekend after Valentine's Day.
It's so... I don't know, it's like... It's such, like, an enigma to me of, like, everyone says it's the good video game movie, and then I'm just trying to, like, think of how... Because it doesn't look that great to me from the trailers.
It's not great. It's just not terrible. Like, it's basically just a regular buddy cop movie, and there's a lot of jokes that are, like, definitely for kids. Like, Sonic does a Fortnite dance at one point. Which is a lot. But
like it flosses.
Yeah, it kind of has some of the charm that, like, the Lego Batman movie or Into the Spider-Verse did, where there's a lot of, like, Sonic references in there, like, played for jokes that I think a lot of people liked. And Sonic's pretty cute in that movie. I mean, it's weird to say because of all the drama about that before when they released his first design.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was so good.
It was so funny. I'm pretty sure that was just a marketing tactic. I genuinely don't believe that was ever going to be his real design. They just, like, showed that, and then they forced all their artists to crunch. But, whatever. It worked. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm
with the
excited
Mario
for
movie...
the second one, though, so...
Yeah. With the Mario movie, I'm kind of wondering, like, will they... I'm just trying to think, because the thing with all their voices is that they don't sound anything remotely like they do in the games, assuming that they don't all do really weird voices.
Yeah, if they don't make them Italian.
Yeah, I'm genuinely wondering, like, is there going to be some sort of event in this universe where, like, oh no, the Hollywood meteor just struck the Mushroom Kingdom, so now everyone has funny, wacky actor voices. I saw this tweet that was like, Mario's going to walk in one day and go, woohoo! And then go, oh, sorry guys, and then be Chris Pratt. And then I was like, oh my god, that's gonna happen in the movie. He's going to speak like Mario. And then be like, sorry guys.
Exact joke with Toad, where it's just Keegan-Michael Key doing the Toad voice the whole time, then he goes home to his wife and he's like, sorry, I didn't mean to put on that voice.
Wow. That is beautiful.
It's incredible. I can't wait. At least I think that the second Sonic movie will actually be decent. Just because when they announced Idris Elba as Knuckles, I was genuinely excited for that. Which is so funny. Because
He's so bad at knowing actors.
Oh, I don't know, it's just seeing a Hollywood elite actor making an unknown for me reference in a tweet. It was a lot. It made me happy. Knock knock, it's Knuckles.
Yeah, I don't know, movies are weird. I really like film, but, I never really understood, like, actor worship.
Oh,
I don't know what else to call it.
I don't know anything about actors.
Yeah, like, I was super into, I was super into Chris Pratt when I was, like, in middle school, and I watched, what's the show he was in? The Office, but it's politics. Anyways,
Parks and Rec?
Yes, thank you. I don't know how I forgot the name of Parks and Rec. But I was super into him then because I just knew nothing about him and I thought his character was funny. But then he was in Jurassic World and that movie blows and completely ruined the Jurassic Park franchise, which I love. And yeah, and his character was incredibly sexist. And that movie was incredibly sexist, but that's besides the point. And then I stopped caring about him, and I don't really care anymore. I think the only, like, actor, I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess Michael Cera. Michael Cera is fun. But that's about it. I do like Jack Black a lot.
Oh yeah, he's great. Jack Black is just a cool guy in general.
I remember that there's the video where he was basically forced to do a collaboration with Markiplier for the Goosebumps movie, and it's so funny because you could tell he just does not want to be there, but he's like in this Let's Play of like the Goosebumps game, and he's like, wow, here I am with Markiplier. It's like, how is this real?
Oh my god, that's... I like pissing people off when I talk about actors. I know, because I have this very strong memory of like being in the car with my teacher and one of my other classmates, because I had an AP math class that was literally just 2 people. So we took our like final test for the semester, and then we went out for lunch because we just didn't have to go to the rest of our classes. But they were talking to me about like attractive male actors in the car, or like who my actor crush was, and they kept showing me pictures of like what looked like identical brunette men to me, and I was like, I can't tell the difference between any of these people you're showing me right now.
Oh my god.
They thought I was lying, but I'm just like, did you just show me the same dude 6 times? Like, what is happening? Who's putting these people in labs and cloning them?
Hollywood actors are like Fire Emblem protagonists, but worse, because they have like no interesting
They don't
stories
even get a
attached to them.
sword! What's the point?
Yeah, right? Yeah, people complain about
God.
anime sword fighters, but instead I think we should complain about brown-haired male leads in action movies.
Yeah, exactly. We all have the same fucking haircut. It's insane. Was there actually anything else in the Direct that you cared about besides the Mario movie stuff? I feel like it overshadowed everything.
Let me... yes, there was. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was there.
Was, yes. That was... If you watch... I actually put up a reaction video, on my YouTube channel. And I freaked out because I thought that, I was sure there would be nothing Monster Hunter related at all, because I knew Monster Hunter was going to have a TGS show, which also I can talk about, but we were like, most Monster Hunter fans were like, if there's anything Monster Hunter news related, it's going to be at Tokyo Game Show, because they have a 40-minute slot to talk about stuff. However, so when it started, I thought it was like a remake, because in my head, I was like, there's no way that this is Monster Hunter Rise Ultimate. Like, this has to be a remake or something, which was weird because Monster Hunter doesn't really do remakes, but it's something people have been talking about. Specifically, they've been talking about remaking Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, because that's the one that everybody likes. And so I actually thought it was a remake of one of the PSP Monster Hunter games, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. And then when it was like Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, I was like, holy shit. So I'm not expecting too much from it. It's just, I'm, gonna be more Monster Hunter Rise. But I'm still very excited for it.
More monsters for you to hunt.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, basically.
I got excited about the fucking Mario Party news, which is a weird thing to say.
What news was there? Wasn't it just more Mario Party?
Sorry, can you repeat that? My headphone fell out of my ear.
Oh, you're good. I thought it was just like more Mario Party. Like they didn't really show any news.
Not really. At that point they'd only shown 3 of the 5 boards, and like a little freak that I am, because I'm way too into Mario Party lore for some reason, I was trying to guess like what the other 2 boards they were gonna announce were, and I think they announced I know Horrorland was one of them, because I was proud of myself that I got that correct, and I think the other one was I've already forgotten. I didn't get it right, because I thought it was going to be like the Yoshi board from Mario Party 1 or whatever. I don't know, just every time they show off that game I get really excited, because 2 was my favorite Mario Party, and I recently set up an N64 in my room with like a copy of Mario Party 2, and I'm just glad that they're like...
Best Mario Party.
Yeah, going back to like the Mario Party roots of like, kill your friends. I hated the recent ones because they promote teamwork. I'm like, no, Mario Party is about violence and blood and...
Hell yeah,
evil. And
Mario
also the
Party
art
is
style
the
is
one.
really cute.
Yeah, Mario Party is the one game series where I will permit blood and gore for blood and gore's sake.
Yes, exactly. I condone violence here.
I guess I might as well just kind of go down the list of things they talked about at the Direct. Kirby.
Oh yeah, Dylan
and
was
the
really
Forgotten
into that.
Lands. Yeah, that looks sick. It's the first ever 3D
does.
Kirby game, which I think a lot of people didn't really realize when they were watching it. Like,
I
how kind of
did.
big
It
of a
freaked me
deal it
out.
was.
It freaked me
Yeah.
out when he went across like the Z-axis. 'Cause for some reason, like that just felt wrong to my brain, and I was just like, it just
Right.
registered him in like a real mall to me, even though it was very stylized. I'm like, oh god, Kirby, real. He's coming.
Yeah, there was a while where I was like, I genuinely thought that the 3D was just like cutscenes.
Yeah.
Like there was the part where the camera was like behind him and he was walking, and everyone I've watched react to it is like, oh, 3D. But when I watched it, I was like, oh wow, this game has really realistic cutscenes where it actually goes behind Kirby instead of all being from the side. And it's like, I like how I just 2D and Kirby are so like intrinsically combined that like,
I don't know why
my
it
brain
felt
just
so
didn't
weird.
process.
It took me a
it
couple
does.
minutes.
It still
to...
feels weird.
Yeah, it does. Like looking back at it, I'm like, what? My brain is broken because of Kirby.
And then I freaked out when Brewster was on there.
Oh yeah,
for
everyone's
Animal
been wanting
Crossing,
him for like
it's so
since the
dumb.
game came out.
It's so dumb, but for some reason I just love the roost so much in Animal Crossing
No,
that
it's delightful.
I was genuinely like almost like crying. I was like, holy shit!
Like Smash
yes.
hype levels for Brewster.
Yes, pretty much.
I
And that
felt
was
happy
all
for Animal
they
Crossing
announced.
fans when I saw that. Yeah, of course, because they've been wanting that forever. Even though I kind of stopped playing New Horizons, I'm like, good for you guys. They're still updating your game.
By the time this episode comes out, Metroid Dread will probably be released. I'm not sure when we'll get this out, but or at the very least, it will be releasing soon, or have just released. But Metroid Dread was on here. They spoiled more stuff, and
It looked kind of the same to me. Maybe that's just because I don't know a lot about Metroid. It looked like just like mostly the same level, and then I think they showed Kraid. Was
that was
Kraid?
not. Yes, that's the thing that people were like freaking out about being a
Okay,
spoiler.
I figured.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't actually know like the names of the bosses. I just saw Green Dragon. I'm like, what was his name again? Just like squinting at my screen like an old person.
Yeah. But yeah, and apparently the game has leaked, like, either someone who has an early copy or who got it from, like, a store that broke street date or something, has been posting footage, including, like, the ending and stuff like that.
Huh.
So obviously I haven't watched any of that, and I will not be...
Of course, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like so bad because it feels like you have to go out of your way to not know the entire thing of everything that happens in this game.
Yeah. It feels like how it happens
but...
with like every big Nintendo game. Like someone somehow gets their hands on it and like posts 6 YouTube videos with like the final boss in the thumbnail.
Oh yeah,
They're
yep.
dicks.
Yep, Profacia Gaming will be like.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
But yeah, it's not. I would rather have overexposure for a Metroid game than just more underexposure. So I guess it's a good problem to have? ? But yeah, it's still kind of annoying. They also announced like N64 for Switch Online, but the thing that like freaked me out was Sega Saturn.
Oh yeah.
I was like, hearing the Sega like jingle in a Nintendo Direct was like the most cathartic moment in all of gaming for
They
me.
ate Sega.
Yeah,
The console
like,
wars are over.
yeah, like the first act of peace was Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, and then like the actual armistice where they like legally signed the paper was when I heard that Sega
Yeah.
jingle.
I will say, I was excited about it at first, just cause like, oh cool, N64 games on Switch, and then I like thought about it, and then it just made me mad. So.
Would it make you mad?
Just cause it's like, here's more money you can pay on top of what you're paying for the online service, for just like games you can pirate that we haven't actually updated in any way, so they're
Yeah.
worse than if you pirate them.
Yeah,
And it's also not very good N64 games. I'm like, they had a few good ones on there, but like, it's gonna be like what they do with like the online service already. It's some good games, but it's never gonna be the ones that people want, because they're gonna make you buy some shit. I mean, I'm surprised I saw Paper Mario on there, like, genuinely. I thought they were never gonna put that anywhere.
Yeah,
You
there
will
weren't really
never
any
look at
games.
Paper Mario 1 ever again.
there weren't really any games on there that I felt like were missing for me personally. There will be online, which they said, so like you could play Mario Kart 64
Oh boy.
with someone online, so that's kind of neat. They don't know. I don't think we know as of now how much more expensive the expansion pack will be.
I thought
so
they said
I
it was
don't
like
think...
$8 or so more. Maybe I just heard that from someone, but
I don't know.
I know
you
it's
just heard
just
that
like
from
an
someone.
yeah, maybe. Some people were talking about it. I do think it's very funny that they added online to like this N64 service, but they're releasing Mario Superstars, so none of the old Mario parties are going to ever get on this service.
I don't necessarily think that's true. There's Pokemon Snap and there's new Pokemon Snap. I never would have thought
but
they
those
would
are
put
like very
Pokemon Snap on.
those are very different games for the most part. It's literally just because they're taking all the old mini games and not all of the old boards, but like some of the old boards and putting it in the new one. Like you would get more content out of the old N64 Mario parties than you would out of this one new one. So people probably wouldn't buy the new one if the old ones came out. Because like as much as I like it, they're not adding nearly as much old Mario Party shit in the new game. They're probably just gonna add it as DLC like 3 years later.
I feel like I could see them like hosting one of the N64 Mario Party games like maybe like a year after Superstars comes out, but I don't necessarily see that
they can never
anytime soon.
They can never host one again, just like genuinely. That's probably one of the reasons it didn't show up, because of the fucking Palm lawsuit.
Oh, right.
You're never allowed to address the old Mario Party 1 minigames ever again.
We pretend like that doesn't exist.
Yeah, we're not looking, we don't see it. I think it's cowardly, because I love Mario Party 1 and I love the control stick spinners just destroying my hands. Reminds me of a better time.
There was a Splatoon 3 trailer, which I thought was kind of boring, to be honest.
Yeah, they didn't really show much. Well, they showed like the story mode for it about mammals.
Which is neat.
Yeah. I liked Splatoon 2 a lot in its story. I think like Splatoon 2's story is like way better than anything in the first game. But
Octo Expansion is one of my favorite things of all time.
It's great. I think like if they make it that good again, then like it'll be worth it. But like I don't like the overworld for Splatoon 3 as much. It seems a lot more dull because it's more like classic apocalypse. I get because it's like a lot of like old gray buildings. That's like your hub instead of like the fun flashing lights.
I like it a lot. So.
Oh. Well, you're fine. I just thought it looked kind of weird, like, compared to the other two games, sort of. I mean, they still haven't showed a lot of it, but it's fine.
Yeah, well, for me, it was kind of the other way around. I felt like the other two games were more generic. Like,
really?
It's just like, this is just a city.
I guess I can see that,
and it was like, it was cool. Like, I never complained about it. But this was the first one where I was like, oh wow, this is cool because it's like in the slums. It's not just another
that makes sense.
Big New York inspired city, you know.
I think it's just because of where I live and I see fucking apartment complexes like that every time I leave my house. Yeah. I'm just like, ugh.
This is why you're more disappointed by dystopias than I am in general.
Because I fucking live in Florida,
Florida, yeah, you already live in one. So.
I already live in a damn society. I don't need more of that.
Yeah, and then there was Bayonetta 3, which I don't think either of us are super into.
I was gonna get to that last. No, I feel bad because I think I'm the only one of any of my friends who does care about Bayonetta, which is weird, because the internet really cared about Bayonetta, and then when I was excited, none of my friends gave a shit, so I was like, well, okay.
I wasn't disappointed by it at all, like, I was very happy.
Oh, I got spoiled about the leak, so I...
Oh, okay.
I was like expecting it. So when that last scene came on, I fucking loved that trailer because it's like a triple fake out, which is really good for watching reactions because everyone's like, oh, it's fucking Astral Chain or it's something new. And then Bayonetta shows up, she's like, hi bitches, I'm 3 years late.
Yeah, I know it was a good trailer. I was genuinely like, because I saw the Platinum logo at the beginning. So I was like, oh, Bayonetta, but I know nothing about Bayonetta. Yeah. So I was like, wait, does Bayonetta just take place in, like, modern day city?
No.
And then I saw, like, and then I saw, like, army dudes with guns. And I was like, what the fuck kind of game is this?
It's very funny watching people respond to it, because army dudes with guns is very not Bayonetta. Bayonetta is, like, super stylized. Like, there's some city stuff, but it's a lot of, like, very grotesque demons and like this in between of like heaven and hell and purgatory. So like the scene immediately was like, okay, this is not Bayonetta. And then they show a lot of shit from Astral Chain. Like they have the dog was apparently the Astral Chain mascot that like shoots it, which is when everyone was like, ah, it's fucking Astral Chain. And the monster just looks exactly like Astral Chain. And then Bayonetta shows up, she's like, hey.
Yeah.
I think it looked interesting though, because the gameplay seems a lot different. I never played Bayonetta 2, I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but like, the kaiju battles are not a staple of the Bayonetta series. Usually it's a finisher, so like you don't get to control Gamora or anything, it's just like your final attack when you like actually beat a boss like normally. So I kind of liked how cool it was, it's like you can control big monsters and it looks a lot different, because like the monster they showed did not look like Bayonetta at all. It was neat. I did think it was funny. I don't know if it was just Nintendo censoring it because it's a Nintendo Direct, but I noticed that Bayonetta did not get naked when she summoned her finisher, and I haven't seen anyone mad about that yet, but I know someone's really pissed off.
Does she
like
normally just get naked? What?
Yes. Oh, that was when Bayonetta came out, like, for Smash 4, that was the reason people were like, how the fuck did Bayonetta get in this game? And they censored it, because if you watch her when she, like, summons her, like, Wicked Weaves attacks, you can see, like, her outfit, like, it turns into, like, shorts and, like, a tank top. What usually happens is because her outfit is her hair and her summons are from her hair, she gets butt-ass naked and she attacks them.
Oh my god.
Bayonetta is one of the funniest games.
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta is one of the funniest games ever, because it's, like, it seems like very normal, like, oh, fetishizing the female character with big titties, but because it's written by a woman and you can tell, it's very, like, jump the shark, way too hilarious. Like, my favorite part is there's a part where you're, like, doing a motorcycle segment, but the scene right before it is Bayonetta hotwires a motorcycle by sticking her middle finger into the ignition.
It feels very tasteful.
Yes.
In a not tasteful way.
Yeah, exactly, because, like, all of her moves are super over-sexualized, and there's blood everywhere, and she'll, like, pole dance every time she goes to pull a lever, which is the funniest shit in the world. And she swears so relentlessly. Good. It's so good. I think that game and, like, Somnium Files are, like, my two favorite comedic games in terms of, like, here's a very horny protagonist, but, like, the joke is not just the fact that, like, the joke is at, like, the expense of all the horny stuff. Kind of.
No.
I don't know if you've seen anything of Somnium Files. Also a good game.
I know nothing about it. There are a lot of games to play out there, and for some reason I always am drawn to, like, the really weird niche series, so I will probably try out Somnium Files at some point. It's just one of those games where...
It's so good.
Yeah, it's one of those games where I know nothing about it, but I hear the name enough to the point of where part of me feels like I want to know nothing about it, and then one day I'll probably just play it, like I did with Persona.
My plan was after, I mean, I guess if the audience cares about this, after I finish Ace Attorney, which should probably take another week or two, I was going to start streaming Somnium Files again, just because I like playing story-driven games that my friends have never seen before and, like, experiencing it with them. And Somnium Files is just so hysterical. It's very, like, 999-esque and, like, sort of down... It's you can tell it's made by the same team that made Danganronpa, but when people compare the two, I don't super see it. It's like, it's somewhat... I don't know. It's very silly. The humor in that game is just incredible. There's so many, like, supercuts of, like, best funny moments from AI the Somnium Files, and they're, like, 4 hours long.
How long is that game, like, overall?
I'd say it's pretty long, because it's, like, there's a lot of branching, like, story paths, but you have to get all of the stories to get the real ending, and between, like, regular, like, detective segments, there are, like, these puzzle modes, and I think the puzzles, depending on their difficulty, tend to take, like, half an hour to an hour, so I'd say maybe, like, 60 hours? I can check my Switch. I don't think I've played it in a while, so I don't know if it'll show up as, like, how many hours do you have on AI the Somnium Files?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I can look it up on how long to beat. But, yeah, no, I'll consider checking it out. I'm trying to... I've been debating doing some financial calculations to see if I could afford getting an actual PC before SMT5 releases so I could actually stream it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because,
I also want to get a PC.
Yeah, because believe it or not, I use a MacBook Pro laptop for
Jesus
literally
Christ.
everything. It's like
So sorry,
it's
King.
like it's like I'm doing a challenge run, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, speaking of SMT5, during the direct, there was like it was like put in a highlight reel, like it was like a random, like it was put next to a Hot Wheels game and then some other racing game that nobody has ever heard of. And I was a little disappointed because, I mean, they announced it now, but at the time we hadn't heard anything about the English dub. And I'm kind of worried because they've only now released one trailer in English, and it was the trailer announcing the English cast. Which, fun fact, Nintendo, when they posted the trailer, posted the wrong version that didn't have any of the voice actors' names. So it was like some Twitter account not crediting like the artist, like.
I love that. That's
And
so
they had to
up.
re-upload it.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm a little worried because every single trailer, and there's been some really good trailers, the actual gameplay they've shown is kind of meh because it's all from the same area, and people have been pointing that out. Like, there's like 5 different gameplay videos, but they all cover the same part of the game. And I get that. I would rather them be overly cautious so they don't spoil things, and like it's very clear they don't want to spoil things. Like they've only ever shown one boss, and it's a boss right near the beginning of the game. They've only shown footage from one dungeon, and it was like 4 seconds of footage to be like, yep, dungeons exist, don't
they
worry.
exist, don't worry about it. I'm not going to show you anything else, but just know there is a dungeon.
Yeah.
Just one.
So yeah, that's a little disappointing, but I've seen a decent amount of people who are like, is this game even gonna be in English? Because the actual trailers, like the Bethel trailer is the one that comes to mind, in my opinion, are like really good. But because they're all in Japanese, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, this game's not for me because it's not in my native language or whatever. Which is dumb, but
Yes,
you know, you
stupid.
can't control the way that people think. And it feels like they've been putting a lot of marketing into it, but mostly like in Japan. You know what I mean? Like, which kind of surprises me because I think I'm just kind of used to it with Monster Hunter, but like Monster Hunter World, for example, was like the game where they were like, all right, this game's popular in Japan. Now we're gonna try to make it popular in the West as well. And I think in my head I sort of saw SMT5 as that sort of game because it is popular in Japan, but it doesn't really seem like it is that way at all. But yeah, we'll see. It looks good to me, but it doesn't come out till November. I got Metroid to get through before then. In the Japanese Direct, I know they got an actual trailer.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah.
I was gonna be weird and be the one person who cared about fucking Project Triangle Strategy or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, they got rid of the project.
Oh, yeah, of course. They always do that, because they did it for Octopath Traveler, too. And Dylan, while we were watching, he was like, why can't they just, like, name their things not after the project titles?
Yeah.
Such a weird title. I don't know. I think it's just because I played Triangle Strategy's demo, because I really liked Octopath Traveler, but I'm not used to tactical RPGs like that. Like, I never played Final Fantasy Tactics Advance or whatever, and it was really hard for a demo. And then I noticed that apparently they were running like surveys for people who had actually played the demo. So when they played that trailer, which I'm sure nobody but me cared about, and they were talking about like, look, we made difficulty settings for you to choose from, and we changed some other stuff that people told us were like weird about our demo.
That was
like,
cool.
It was like, yeah, that was really nice of you. Actually, you make me want to play your game again.
Yeah, I was watching that and I was genuinely like, just having a trailer saying like, oh, we actually made changes based on your advice was like, almost made me be like, maybe I'll actually look at this just like out of respect for the fact that they actually care.
Right. Thanks, guys. Oh, also the Castlevania collection. I think it's just because I've never played a Castlevania and I've been looking for a reason to. I don't know, like, if the games they included are considered the good ones. It just visually looked kind of nice.
Right. They're all the Game Boy Advance games.
Oh.
From what I understand, it's Castlevania Symphony of the Night is the one that everyone likes, which is a PS1 game, but don't quote me on that. I haven't played a Castlevania game.
I was gonna say, I've heard that one a lot, so if I can find it on this article that I pulled up to remember what the hell was in the announcement.
Yeah.
I literally just had it. Okay, whatever, it's fine. I think they said there were like 3 or 4 games in that one pack. I just like collections of
I'm
stuff.
not sure. They are
Makes me
kind of
feel
neat.
neat,
But I always prefer. I don't know. I always just feel weird because I just think about like the original. I think way too much about like, oh, what was the intended experience?
Yeah.
So like I like go out of my way to buy a PS2. Well, that I did mostly because PS2 emulation on a Mac is
Ugh.
pretty much impossible.
Good fucking luck with that one.
Yeah. But yeah. Speaking of a PS2 though, I also managed to pick up Devil May Cry, which I've never
Ooh,
played.
Devil May Happy.
Yeah, which I kind of want to get into because I like Capcom enough. And
Yeah, tell me how that is, because I keep hearing about it, and I've been curious about it, but again, like, I grew up with only Nintendo systems, because I didn't want to ask my parents for multiple different gaming systems. And I
like
keep...
how is DMC?
Yeah.
You mean I haven't played it yet.
I know, just like when you get to it.
Oh, okay, I got
Yeah.
you. Yeah, no, I plan to get at that at some point. Probably not for a long while. I also got Final Fantasy X and X-2.
Ooh. I don't actually remember how people feel about that one, but
I know a lot of people who like it, but
okay.
It's I think it's still turn based. I think it's before. I think 13 was the one where they went with action combat.
I at some point bought Final Fantasy 12 like just on a sale, and I've never heard anything about this, but it's one of the ones where I'm like, I want to know what the fuck like the newer Final Fantasies are doing.
Right. Yeah. It's Final Fantasy 13. I know people hate.
Yes.
But it's the one Final Fantasy game that I ever actually played as a kid, and I played very briefly because my cousin had it. He had like the Xbox 360 version, I think, or maybe it was PS3. I don't remember. But I just remember thinking Lightning was like super cool. And it was one of those games where I was young enough to where I didn't really care or could like understand the story, and I never really played it that much, but I was old enough to where like something being cool and badass was like made me feel like I was better than everyone else. So I was like, oh yeah, this cool game where you're like lightning and it's like cyberpunk and you got like swords. So like I have positive memories of FF13 in that like cheesy sense of it's probably a horrible game, but if I replayed it, I would just like
fond memories.
I would remember thinking I was cooler than everybody else.
I feel like those are the best games, JRPG. Like for personal reasons. Just like, is it good? No. Am I having fun? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like Barnyard for the PS2, which is both personally and objectively a masterpiece.
The best game of all time, factually.
I can genuinely talk about why I love that game so much, because it's just so, I don't know, the progression is like, it's so good of like, you actually have the barn and you have to buy like furniture for it, and you can buy like a pool table, and then there's a pool mini game, and then you have to buy like dance floors, and I will spare you the barnyard speech, but
one day.
Anyways, yeah.
I feel like we're getting like an hour and a half, so maybe this would be a good point to stop, perhaps.
Yeah, I shall spare the viewers of my incessant barnyard rant by ending the episode. But I appreciate you all coming and listening to us.
Coming to our house to talk about video games.
Yeah, and the exit's just over there. If you need to go to the bathroom, it's the third exit on the right. And yeah, you got anything you want to say, Scrimmy, to our wonderful viewers?
Should we plug our socials again? Just do it like every time to be obnoxious, or what?
Sure. Follow us on Twitter. Do that. It's Lou Tyrannus and Scrimmified.
You don't have to follow me on Twitter. I would prefer maybe if you didn't.
Don't follow them on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter.
I don't talk on Twitter a lot. I post my art more on like Instagram and shit these days. Not that I like talk. Instagram also sucks ass. I still want to try doing video essay shits on YouTube maybe one day. Also, watch our streams. Do it.
Yes, do that.
But my stream name is Atomic Admiral for some reason. I just don't feel like changing it.
They're weird.
Yeah, I'm weird as hell.
You can click on the end cards, which I will perfectly sync up to show up right now. God, I hope I did that right.
Yeah, you better.
You can click on those to get to our profiles and our YouTube profiles, as well as subscribe to the GameLink podcast channel, which I highly recommend you do.
I don't recommend it. You have to.
Yeah, this is true, because once again, if you don't subscribe, for every time someone watches this and doesn't subscribe, we lose, like, part of our souls. And if it happens enough, eventually we will die. It's like the rose in Beauty and the Beast. That's like
just slowly losing
right?
petals, yeah.
It's like that, except for you can add more petals by subscribing.
And if our blood is on your hands, you will go to jail for manslaughter.
This is true. We have contacted the police already.
They're coming.
So please be afraid. Anyways, thank you for listening to the GameLink podcast. Like, subscribe if you feel like it. If not, I don't give a shit.